A special meeting for April 28th to order. Superintendent, can you please take roll?
Member Pritchett.
Here.
Member Morowski.
Here.
Member Wu.
Present.
Member Garcia. Member Villa. No. Member Rhodes.
Present.
Member Phillips.
Present. All right. We have a quorum, and I believe we have a live public comment.
Yes, we have 3, and the first speaker is Katie Maple.
Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Hi, Katie.
Hi. Do you want me to start now?
Yes, please.
Beautiful, thank you. Good evening, Chair, members of the board. My name is Katie Maple, and I'm a resident of Oak Park. My father was in the Navy, and I went to more schools than I could count before leaving home at 16. Luckily, I was graced at that time with the opportunity to move in with a friend and her single mom, who's a longtime educator and has been the president of her teachers union for many years. If it wasn't for that connection to the importance of education and protecting our teachers and students, I'm not sure where I would be today. Thanks to that experience, I was able to find stability, go on to be the only person in my family with a college degree, and am now running for Sacramento City Council in District 5. If elected, I hope to work together with you to make sure all of our kids get what they need and to help eliminate the invisible barriers between the district and the city. This is important because the schools are the backbone of the city. I hope that we can work on joint projects and fight to get kids the revenue and support they need. A great example of that is the recent work done to bring back 4th R. We should prioritize establishing more community schools that provide wraparound services on campus. I also want to say thank you. Thank you for working with your labor partners and getting an MOU in place to avert a strike with classified workers. The community is tired of constant fighting between the district and staff. What the community wants is labor peace. We want the district to work in a collaborative way instead of a top-down manner. No district can be great without the buy-in of their teachers, educators, and staff. Instead, we ask you to listen to the voices of those who do the work on the ground and respect their input and experience, including treating them with the same dignity you would expect them to provide to students and parents. All future changes should be negotiated collaboratively with labor partners to create solutions that work on the ground. I believe the best use of our time now is to focus on developing an enrichment program for summer that is not focused solely on academics. Let's give our students a chance to heal from the trauma of the pandemic and give them the experiences they've missed, including time to bond with friends, play games, field trips, and extracurricular activities. Let's look at the needs of the whole child. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next commenter.
Yes, our next speaker is John Meyers.
Good evening, board and superintendent. This is John Meyers, parent of 3 Sac City students and a member of Open Sac City Schools and SCUSD Students First Parent Coalition. SCUSD Parents First is now represented by the Anastad, Andelin, and Korn LLP, who work across California on behalf of civil rights of students who are unfairly prevented from returning to their classrooms. Today, Anastad, Andelin, and Korn sent a demand letter to the SCUSD board and superintendent, advising you of the overwhelming health data supporting in-person instruction, the overwhelming need for students to end so-called distance learning, and most importantly, your leadership responsibility to safely return students to their classrooms full-time. At SCUSD Students First, we hope you take this responsibility seriously. As the board discussed and agreed unanimously last week in the April 22nd board meeting, there is no public health reason preventing SCUSD students from being in class full-time right now. We fully understand the difficulty in getting labor partners to agree to return to the classroom, but we must remind this board and superintendent that the district cannot simply bypass the need to educate nearly 40,000 students because of the fear of conflict or a desire for expediency. Nearly all nearby districts have already returned to 4 or 5 days per week of in-person learning. SCUSD needs to do likewise. We take this first step towards legal action seriously, but we unfortunately feel this is the only way to get the students' voices heard. SCUSD Students First can no longer patiently wait for the district to stop violating the basic civil right of every student to receive a full-time in-person education. Thank you for your attention, and we look forward to your actions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Meyers.
Our final speaker is Mohammed Kashmiri.
Hey, board. I think most of you know me. I'll start with a quick story, which is, last night, my wife and I were watching Married at First Sight, which was reminded me of my own childhood because as a Pakistani immigrant, my parents had an arranged marriage. And they didn't always get along. And sometimes, like they would be passing notes through me and like it was really uncomfortable and weird. And I bring that up because, I feel like I often feel that way whenever we're in a situation where the union and the unions are fighting with the district. And I just got to say, I appreciate that the board is working collaboratively with the unions to try to figure things out and has gotten an MOU to avert the strike. What all of us in the district want is they want a district that works together and succeeds for everybody. And that takes compromise. And it's really hard. Like, in a marriage, you may be, with a union having, a district this size, we're basically in relationship with a lot of people. And sometimes we have to compromise and make decisions that aren't exactly what we want. To try to make sure we bring everybody along to make the system work best. I think the board is moving in the right direction. I really was impressed at Ms. Baeda's presentation around the summer school enhancements. I think it's the right way to do things in terms of giving teachers as much flexibility as possible and control to help them create something that kids are going to want to go to. We can't just focus on academics. We really should be focusing on the enrichment that the kids have missed. I hear the idea of going back to school 5 days a week, and I totally understand why people would want that. I just don't know if it's worth the chaos it would cause. At the moment, I would suggest we just focus on making sure that we have a well-running, broad enrichment program for the summer that gives kids a chance to connect with each other and heal from the trauma they've suffered. So I just wanted to say those two things. Thank you so much, and I appreciate all the hard work that you do. I know it's not always easy. Thank you.
Thank you. That was the last public comment, Ms. Moretti.
Yes, it was.
Okay, we will move into closed session. Okay, I'm calling us back to order. Item 5.0, approval, I don't have my glasses on. Approval of MOU with Service Employees International Union dated April 20th, 2021 to safely reopen schools to in-person instruction and AB 1200 disclosure. Mr. Bozio?
Okay, thank you, President Pritchett. Good evening, President Pritchett, Board of Education, Superintendent Aguilar. Let's see. Okay, I'm Raul Bosio, here to present for you to review and approve and ratify the district's agreement with SEIU, as well as the AB 1200 financial disclosure. Just a brief history of the bargaining history. As you're probably aware, the district and SEIU had been engaged in discussions around a reopening MOU, addressing the impacts to SEIU members for quite some time, between February 25th and April 3rd. There were 12 meetings, and the history of our proposals and counter proposals can be found here through the hyperlinks and are on the district website negotiations dashboard. At one point, however, April 3rd, the district determined that the parties had reached an impasse and filed for an impasse determination with PERB, the Public Employment Relations Board. The parties were certified to impasse, and an impasse mediation was held on April 19th. And at that meeting on April 19th, the parties did enter into an agreement, which was ratified on the next day. Some of the key terms that are contained within that agreement for your ratification tonight are listed on this slide and the next, including robust health and safety protocols consistent with public health recommendations, option for parents with childcare issues, in some cases to bring their school-age children to work, and to be included in the cohorts of their grade level at their work site. And just as we have done with other bargaining partners, option for remote work or accommodation for staff with serious health condition when able to meet, of course, the essential functions of their positions. The fiscal, getting into some of the fiscal pieces, the stipends, three different stipends and a reimbursement were included. A $750 stipend related to professional development and preparation time. A $1,000 prorated stipend for SEIU members who had been previously back to work on site dating back to July 1st, 2020. There is a $100 reimbursement for folks who were working remotely. And the $1,250, which was an increase from the district's previous offer of $1,250 stipend for basically all SEIU members who are basically coming back to work with the reopening of our schools. And that is in recognition of the additional workload and various out-of-pocket expenses incurred by staff. The fiscal impact, as really further outlined in detail in the AB 1200 document in your packet, which can be viewed again on our website. The primary
fiscal impact is the one-time cost there.
They're listed over $6.5 million, $6,686,352 in salaries and benefits relating to those stipends. AB 86 salaries budget will be increased by over $5 million, and the benefits budget increased by over 1.6. The AB 86 revenue will be increased to offset the budget expenditure increases with a net budget impact of $0. And that concludes this short presentation. If there are any questions.
All right, we have no public comment. Is there any board comments or questions?
No public comment.
Any board comments or questions? What was that? Yeah, we're doing one at a time.
Yes.
Do you have questions?
Yes.
Okay. So you wanted them all together? Oh, okay. Did you want to wait? You want to wait? All right.
I'll just go ahead.
Oh, make sure your mic is on.
So this is the agreement between SEIU and the district.
Yes.
Okay. Just, I want to express my gratitude to all bargaining teams, both on labor and management, for reaching this final agreement to reopen schools for in-person learning. I'd also like to thank SEIU for reaching an agreement with the district in the 11th hour to avert a strike, which would have been disastrous on many levels. No one wins with a strike, not employees, not our families, not our students. So thank you. But I'm also disappointed in SEIU's decision to release a video on April 17th, which included images of a parent volunteer in a school mascot suit and a young student celebrating the first day back of in-person learning. These images were used without the consent of these individuals. And this is not okay. These parents felt heartbroken, and I'm quoting here, heartbroken, violated, mortified, and embarrassed, end quote. That their volunteer efforts were used in a way completely contrary to their goals. They felt, and I quote, their integrity was compromised and that they were portrayed as reckless parents, end quote. No member No parent should ever feel this way. Our parent volunteers play a critical role in the success of our students. They show up at our schools to support our teachers, our school staff, and our students. We want more of them, not fewer. Last week, our entire board sent a letter to the president of SEIU with the following: thanking SEIU for removing the video from its Facebook page, asking for a public apology to all our parent volunteers for using images without consent, asking SEIU to reach out to the parents in the video to apologize for using their images without their consent, and asking that moving forward, SEIU seek consent from any individual or individuals in pursuit of their efforts and in compliance with Board Policy 1113. This will go a long way to restore the respect and trust our parents expect and deserve every time they show up at any school site, from East Sacramento to South Sacramento to Oak Park, Land Park, The Pocket, every single school in our district. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Garcia.
And with that, I move to,
Would you like to, okay, we still have, more public comment. But since we have a motion on the table, we need to discuss the motion. Do you want to,
I withdraw my motion. to
okay,
make
thank
further
you, and then we'll
discussion.
get right back to you.
Thank you, Member Garcia, for withdrawing that motion and for your comments on the video. I represent a good number of students, and to see some of those students used as, props in a video where they were expressing their joy and happiness to be back on campus after more than a year, it was really horrific and upsetting, and just another example of sort of the stuff that turns people off of Sac City and makes them feel like they're not going to be served well by their school system. That video also pretended as though COVID cases are spreading out our schools, which there's no evidence of. Quarantine procedures, I hope, are being followed through with. I know they are actually. I had a question for Mr. Bozio, which is, we see the exact same language as the SCTA memo on meet and confer, which I think has been said 40 billion times in this meeting room so far. But meet and confer, and then we see 6 feet in the COVID hygiene section. So could you explain, based on the superintendent's actions, I think it's fair to assume that the district is aiming to move that up to date with 3 feet. So can you explain how that would work with this specific labor partner?
Sure. It's the same. You're right, student board member Shaky. You're right. It's the same issue that we've discussed previously with SCTA, and it was a major issue for SEIU to have the same language that SCTA had. And as we've discussed previously, we're currently pursuing those efforts to meet and confer, to discuss this issue with SCTA. And that's really, going to be the pivotal, the piece on that particular question, if there's to be any change between 6 and 3 feet. So, the team felt that in order to make an agreement with SEIU, that's what, would be required.
Right. So just for clarity, in order to meet an agreement, the language with regards to COVID hygiene is exactly the same as SCTA.
It's the
6
same
feet is what we're
language.
sticking to for now, in this MOU. Thank you.
Mr. Bozio, has there been a date set to meet and confer?
No, not on that question. There's been some discussions about sizes of cohorts generally and the amount of students who are back.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you. So seeing any other questions from my board, I thank you, Member Garcia, for thank you for advocating, for the students of Theater Judah. Or Phoebe Hurst, sorry. That was my mistake. We do have one other question, sorry, Member Garcia. Oh, yes. I'm all over the place tonight. Member Morowski.
That's okay. Thank you. I wanted to echo Member Garcia's comments and thank you for those. We need civility in this district. We need to build each other up. We need to respect each other. You know, this constant, delegitimizing of the other, the othering of parties with which we have legitimate disagreements, feeding on cynicism and just over and over doing hurtful things. You know, we have to get out of this cycle. There's no good that comes of it. You know, we can't poke a hole in your side of the boat. You know, if when we delegitimize the district, that's all of us. That's not them over there. It's not just us up here. It's all of us together. So I hope we can move forward in that collaborative spirit and work with each other in good faith going forward. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, Member Garcia, would you like to go back to your motion?
Yes. I move to adopt the agreement before us between SEIU and and Sac City Unified. Gosh, I'm off today too.
All right, did I get a second? All right, student preferential vote?
No.
All right, it's a roll call, Superintendent?
Member Pritchett?
Yes.
Member Morowski?
Aye.
Member Wu? Aye. Member Garcia?
Aye.
Member Rhodes? Aye. Member Phillips?
Aye.
Perfect. All right. Item 6.0, approval of MOU with teachers, with Teamsters dated April 6th, 2021 to safely reopen schools to in-person instruction and AB 1200 disclosure. Mr. Bozio?
Thank you, President Pritchett. So we have for your review and ratification. I'm going to go ahead and present the two. You have to take action independently on each of the MOUs and their addenda, individually with the Teamsters group and also with the Teamsters TCS, Classified Supervisors Group. But we'll go ahead and present it because the terms of their agreements are identical. The MOU with each, the MOUs were executed on April 6th, 2021, with addenda that followed on the 21st. The key provisions of these agreements include, again, those essentially the same health and safety protocols as outlined in our return to health plan, as well as that meet and confer language if any guidance changes. And specifically here, safe distancing within the classroom of 3 feet apart or other distance recommended by CDPH. The other key provisions are essentially the same as we just discussed with regard to the SEIU agreement, and that includes that $750 training stipend for the 3 days prior to the return of students at each of the sites, as well as that $1,250 stipend in recognition for potentially increased workload and out-of-pocket costs. And there's also the $1,000 prorated stipend for folks who had been previously had returned to sites for in-person work since July of 2020. The fiscal impact for Teamsters, you can see from the one-time funding source from the CARES ESSER funds of $300,000 with a net budget impact of $0. And then for the supervisors group, TCS, also from the CARES ESSER funds, one-time funding source of $74,000 in salaries and benefits, again with the net budget impact of $0. And again, that AB 1200 documentation in detail is available in the board packet and online. So that concludes this presentation. I would welcome any questions.
All right, we have no public comment. Do we have any board discussion? Member Garcia?
Again, I just want to express my gratitude to all bargaining teams on labor and management for reaching final agreements. I'd like to uplift Teamsters as labor partners who quickly and quietly reached agreement with the district bargaining team. I just want to express a heartfelt thank you.
I think we can all agree with that. All right, any other comments, questions? All right, can I get a motion to approve? All right, I have a motion on the table in a second. Student preferential vote?
Aye.
All right, superintendent roll call?
Member Pritchett.
Aye.
Member Morowski.
Aye.
Member Wu.
Aye.
Member Garcia.
Aye.
Member Rhodes. Aye. Member Phillips.
Aye. All right, perfect, thank you. Well, item 7.0, Teamsters TCS.
Exactly. Thank you, President Pritchett. Again, I would refer the board to the presentation that was just presented. And if you'd like, if I can put the PowerPoint up, I guess we can highlight TCS and we can put up the fiscal impact numbers related to TCS. So you have that before you determine your action.
We have no public comment. Do we have any board comment? Member Garcia?
Another heartfelt thank you.
Likewise. All right. Any other board comments, questions? All right. Can I get a motion? I have a motion and a second. Student preferential vote?
Aye.
Superintendent roll call?
Member Pritchett.
Aye.
Member Morowski.
Aye.
Member Wu. Member Garcia.
Aye.
Member Rhodes. Aye. Member Phillips.
Aye. All right, perfect. We will move back into closed session. Thank you. Calling us back to order. Any announcements out of closed session?
No, President Pritchett, there are no announcements out of closed session.
All right, can I get a motion to adjourn? Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, good night.